Hi guys, welcome back to Marvel Contest of Champions. Obviously that feels a little bit odd for me to do that, and people are kind of wondering why I haven't been more vocal on the subject of the 12.0 update. To give you an idea, I made a load of content on Wednesday night. I then shipped it out to appear Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's Friday now when I'm recording this. I've just come back from watching Logan, and I had to put my life before YouTube to kind of give you an idea of why this wasn't more a kind of a quick response to what has happened. But I've had time to kind of survey what's going on and kind of get myself a good list of notes that we're going to cover today and look at various different areas on what really happened, why people are annoyed, and kind of hoping and praying for a positive outlook to what's going on. So I'm taking you back in time to the point, in fact, when we knew about this update and all the level of detail that we were given to the point of what we see in the game. Me recording this video at the moment, I've not spent a huge amount playing the game since a lot of this stuff started happening, and when I recorded my video on the changes in special attack animations on certain characters, I did feel that a lot of stuff was getting very out of hand, and I wanted to focus on my life and other stuff that happening within it. So I decided that I would just kind of ignore the game and sit on the fence and away from it. But this seemed to be a big factor here, these additional stats. So armor penetration, critical resistance, block penetration, and then the challenger rating side of things. What I found was disappointing is the level of detail in this, which we then didn't realize how extensively within the game, and from a development perspective, this was going to make the game from a playing perspective that we all knew and loved to be very disappointing. What am I exactly talking about is, well, you guys should know. And I had to describe this to a lot of people, including putting this into a reference to another game I play called World of Tanks. So in a Marvel Contest of Champions aspect, it's like saying that when you block, so say there, you put a block, thumb down. You would not expect to receive a huge amount of damage from that. The same thing can be said for a parry. And when you're doing a parry, that the extent of damage that you receive should be this: 0. You then apply the stun to the enemy. What this additional stats is saying, number one, it's dishonest because it doesn't represent what's actually happening. So the block penetration side of things, a new stat that allows you to ignore a portion of your opponent's block proficiency with every attack. Now this in itself, this section here is bullshit, really. It's like the BS section that is not it's in there, it's honest, and it does tell us. But from the point of, say, playing the game, it plays completely differently to the 2 months game that I started playing back, God knows when. So that's where, we kind of like see this negative side to the game. People are unhappy because of this aspect, as well as a few other things, but this mainly being the core aspect. The question is, what did this theoretically mean for players? Well, my GIF that I put in here, and it's like, I put, this is the MCOC community reaction to the 12.0 update. And I've put, this is so true, which is, we come in, we put our hats down, we look at the update, go, oh shit, put our hats on, and we're out the door. And this actually got picked up by a few, by one news outlet. And I just want to say a little bit of a thanks to Madeline, and I hope I say your second name right, Risatio. Anyway, whatever your surname is, and it's a fantastic name. I wish I could do it justice by properly pronouncing it. This was picked up by Bleeding Cool. Now, Seaton, and obviously shout out to Seaton on this, actually picked this up. That I was mentioned talking about this, and I don't really think the thing is, when you do a long-winded video, sometimes you forget certain things you make. And I was reminded by somebody today that you should watch out what you say because it could come back to bite you, and that's a good point. But when I referred to and putting this in context, is asking Kabam, don't ask people. And that's the thing about between the community and the developer, there's a big kind of gap in communication. Yes, there is the forums. Yes, they're brilliant. But at the same time, there's no opinion polls. There's no kind of interaction there with people from top to bottom. It's mainly kind of complaints. And that's the problem with, constant complaints. There's no proper liaison between developer and then the community. Likewise, the same thing can be said for YouTubers. I know not a lot of people will say that they enjoy the fact that there's YouTubers within Marvel Contest of Champions, and our communication between us, even our communication between the developers, and nothing. It's like I got a very nice mail from Adora, who sent some very nice messages about support and kind of respect for, unfortunately my dad hasn't been feeling too great, so basically she said a nice message, and so thank you, Adora, if you are watching. You're probably not. Kabam don't watch anything that we make, but the fact is, I then thought, right, I've got a dialogue here. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to then have a conversation. And the answer that I got back was unfortunately just a very generic answer. And I said, look, I'll be completely frank. You've got a huge amount of backlash now. What is happening? And it was a very kind of basic answer, which was not Adora. It was someone else. And that's, again, the divide. We've got this big gap between the developer, the game developer, and the community. And we need to start bridging gaps, because if we don't bridge gaps, more things like this is going to happen. And Kabam have learned from the hashtag boycott MCOC trending worldwide, guys, that the power is not with the people. But unfortunately, that actually brings me on to our next set of things to talk about. So Kabam, or the Vancouver asset, is actually rumored to be at $800 million of value. So the question is, at the point of acquisition, because I've heard that Netmarble acquired Kabam at the end of February, that are they adopting a very aggressive form of marketing or market strategy? Because what you do, if you have, and I've seen this in so many different companies, what you do is, if you're successful, you buy another competitor in your market. In this case, Netmarble are an Android, predominantly very kind of like Android, iOS, gameplay, games developer, whatever. Kabam have equaled that, if not bettered that, with an asset so strong. They've beat Marvel Future Fight. They're so high up there. And what do? You buy that company out. You buy them. You kind of make them an offer they can't refuse. You buy them out, and then you steal market share. And then your next step is, number one, to kind of recuperate back your losses for the amount of money you've put in. Granted, what you do is you acquire it not with physical money. Who's got $800 million lying around? All businesses run with stock, and they run with promises, and they run with packages and things like this. And it's this is the way that the world works nowadays. But what you do is you buy out your competitor, and you make it more of a case that you either, number one, recoup your loss, number two, you sink the business, and you then ship all of that interest then onto your other company. So you go like, oh well, Marvel Contest of Champions is all broke, why don't you go and play our other game? And that's sometimes how it works, not all the time. And it's very hard to say whether or not this is an influence by Netmarble or this is an influence by Kabam. Who is playing? Who's the puppet and the puppeteer? Who's doing it? I don't really know what to say. Again, from looking at it from a business perspective, let's then go on to a different perspective to talk about. So, in amongst all this backlash and hashtag boycott MCOC, we reach a point where obviously it's made apparent that they've got to do something. When I released my statement, I did make a very kind of I'd say, broad opinion when it came to developers side of things, and there were several questions that I had. Now, I really like a lot of the information here. So it's like, as mentioned in the last statement, we will still want to maintain a measure twice and cut once approach. It's important for us that any update or changes made are close to the final desired adjustments as possible, and to avoid quick knee-jerk tuning that would require any further adjustment and cause additional problems. Now, this all goes back to the thing about the developers. Okay, now there's several questions that really come about. I'm reading my notes, so I do apologize. So, who are the developers? Like, who are the people that are developing the gameplay? That's another thing we never really kind of like find out, you know, who within the company are doing that, because these people must be some kind of like super amazing people at the game. Like, are they Brutal DLX? You know, is that going to be the person that is the quintessential amazing player at the game that now being poached by Kabam? No, it's probably not, but we will never find out. And the developers said that in the update they had tested either all of the areas or some of the areas. So what did they actually test is the question. When they were trying to implement these things, these challenge ratings, these block penetration, all this rubbish, what areas were they testing? That is interesting to find out. Also, what champions were they using? Because they must be able to then bypass certain things by using certain champions. What synergies? These are questions that we don't know. If they were able to get to a point there, shouldn't they give the information out to us through, like, why would you even need Marvel Contest of Champions YouTubers if someone was as good, if not better, than us? And that's something that I don't think, again, we have sufficient answers for. At this point, I think it's pretty apparent that when you're judging the game on the 1%, and the 1% basically is those closest to Kabam and the way that they kind of operate, or Netmarble, whoever the developers are, and whoever is pulling the strings. So you, sir, or madam, you are judging the 1% on the 99%. That's not how you operate in a game. That's not how you operate in a community where it's them and us. It's all about including people and finding out what is good, what is bad. Finding out, again, opinion polls. Like, I'd say getting people's perspective. Find someone at a low summoner rating and saying, hey, do you want to road test our next update? We want to know your thoughts. The next thing is go to someone more qualified in other areas, or even go to Marvel Contest of Champions YouTubers. I would have gone through this update, I would have tried to play it, and I would have gone, you will know that if you go live with this, no one will like it. You will have a backlash. And I know a lot about that, and I know it through business. Okay, I have a sufficient certification or kind of like degree up to, well, I've got a degree. I would say I've got a degree in business management. Right. I know when I've made a bad decision, a bad business decision, and I need to put BS in front of it in order to make it sell. So I like being transparent as possible. So that's what I do when I'm selling to people. I will be as transparent as possible. I will give them the God's honest truth, and they don't like it, then it's tough. They can walk away. The same thing can be said for something like this, that I am not going to force a business decision on people without consultation. We are stakeholders in this, so therefore we have a right to have a decision in this. And the games developer will say, no, you don't. Oh, here's the thing. Do you like money? Oh, you do know you need that in order to function as a games developer. Oh, you want to force your people out on the street because they have no job? Right. Well done. Because you're smart. I'm not saying that this is the kind of thing that, you know, we should just scoop out all our brains and because we're gone mental. I simply think that it's all about You can't ever use the word community if you're not willing to put in the effort to be a community. And it starts at the top and goes down to the bottom. Doesn't matter what low summoner rating you are or higher summoner rating you are, whether you're a YouTuber, whether you're a business investor, everyone has a voice and opinion on this, and also we all can work together. And it doesn't feel like at the moment that we're working together to do positive change in the game. It's all about what change is, whatever the developer wants, and that is, again, from a business perspective, doesn't sit well with me. That's too much of, again, a them and us, and that's the big tag thing, I think, a them and us. That's what it feels like. So the extent of the backlash has gone into like monumental kind of capacity, because people are even doing lawsuits. Now, this is something I've seen in various different outlets. I've seen something on Reddit about this, where people are starting to do lawsuits. Now, I don't think I'm going to get involved too much with this. I know litigators and people in litigation in general, and it's just not like the hassle of going to do like a lawsuit is pretty vast. If people do want to go down that route, then obviously it's their choice. Man, like, it's difficult as well being in like coping on international law for kind of like unsold kind of stuff, and it's hard to kind of like to put that into perspective. But you know, obviously people are annoyed. I think the people that have the express right to be not just annoyed, but the point of they want to get their money back, are those people that have bought into certain champions. So they've like applied loads of signature stones, they've bought into stuff to awaken certain characters because they were the characters to go for. They're the quintessential kind of go-to characters to do the end game stuff, and that was what made the game good. Yes, okay, you could say that that Kabam, yeah, okay, they were a little bit greedy because we had to pay and buy for these certain champions that were amazing, but at the same time, I don't think people really cared too much because they could do these endgame things. And it wasn't completely, they weren't without, they still needed to grind resource in order to do it. You know, you used Scarlet Witch, you're using so many different, Doctor Strange. But that's the thing about using these characters. I didn't really see any problem with it, because everyone would reach that point in their career when they go for it. That's why they introduced 5 stars. So 5 stars were then going to be used more for other things in the game. Again, judging the 1% on the 99%, and the 99% would have preferred just to keep the game the way it was, because there was nothing wrong with the game. We dramatized things being wrong, but to be honest, if you think about it, there was nothing really wrong with the game to begin with. Kabam was saying, oh yes, well, we can't challenge ourselves to make things more difficult. I'm sorry, but again, judging the 1% against the 99%, 99% of people would have said, do you know what? Actually, this is a little bit harder. The 1% would just go, yeah, that's bloody easy, that. Yeah, bloody so easy. I could do it in my sleep. Yeah, that's fine. But again, you're the 1%. You are not the 99%. There's more than just you amazing people that play the game. There's some people that are not so good. But at the same time, it doesn't matter how good we are, because we still are around. What a community aspect is the people that are higher up who find the glitches and the things that make it easier, tell the people on the lower then become the better, and then what they do is Marvel Contest of Champions apply a harder endgame mode. Ipso facto, Labyrinth of Legends, ipso facto, Act 5. Now, adding in on Act 5, like different types of buffs, again makes it hard. Like, the degeneration effect, when that was applied, again, that was a little bit harder. They keep applying these negative effects and I'd say harder content, right? But again, judging that on the 1% against the 99%, obviously these amazing developers are in place, so they've tested it out and they're absolutely fine with it. But again, you can't judge that on the 99%. That's when you get involved with the different summoner ratings of different players, different walks of life, the Reddit community, the Facebook community, anybody on there, and just say, could you test out something for us? you'll be given access to a test account. And my good buddy Gravender put it fantastically about this. He was on who said, look, you should just do what most game developers do. Here's a test account, test them out, and boom, there you go. Do it. Kabam were very easy to give out, and this is a big point as well. They supported a very, I'd say, well-known, I think he's called Foam Cats, I can't remember the name. There was there's a Twitch player, and he was given a press account for Marvel Contest of Champions. Now, why couldn't they have given that out to various different outlets, different summoner rating people, and said, here you go, test this out, what do you think of it? And like I said, they'll come back and they'll go, do you know what, it was actually pretty shit. And then we may not have got to this point that we are now. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking you back in time. And this is back in time to well over a year ago. In August, it will be 2 years. And like my first ever videos on Marvel Contest of Champions. So when I did a 10 Prem Crystal opening in my old bedroom at home. When I did a review on Hulk. And what I can honestly say about when I started playing Marvel Contest of Champions, which actually was in January, but I didn't start recording content until August, is that it was fun, right? I enjoyed making videos on Marvel Contest of Champions because they were fun. I enjoyed playing the game because I found it fun. I thought it was like the funnest thing ever. And when you start changing the game into like a skill-based game, it's not fun anymore. It's not fun. And that's the whole reason that we play computer games, because they're fun. And I don't think this game could be fun going forward if they don't change the game back slightly to the way it was. And this is like memory lane for me. This is so weird. So this is like I got 193 views. So people are kind of ever wondering with YouTube, right? It starts out from nothing. You've got to become a nothing to become something. So, oh, even earlier than that, 23rd of June when I released this video. Blue. It's quite funny watching this back, but you know, it's quite nostalgic. Level 37 there. So yeah, I started off very early on. Yeah, so that's trip down memory lane. But when I played this game, it was fun to the point where I required to grind in about at this point I was saying I was doing about 10 hours a day grinding the game, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. I thought it was absolutely amazing. I mean, I still do, but things need to change within the game. So the question will be, where should Kabam or the game go from here? Well, number one, it should go back to the way it was. We didn't need to change it so much, because I've been playing for 2 years and nearly 3 months, and I keep playing it. The reason I keep playing it is because, number one, I love different Marvel characters. That's why I play the game, because I love Marvel characters. That's why I came to the game. That's why loads of new people will come to the game. That's why people will come in general, and we need to encourage that. We haven't encouraged people by giving the game such a negative rating, but that was justified based on the circumstances of the update. I hope that when we see the update, because we will be seeing a further update on this Monday, 5 PM PST time. Hopefully things have improved, because at the moment this has been recorded on Friday the 3rd of March, and I obviously will try to get this out as soon as possible. It's 11 PM in the UK, and I do need to get this out. But and thank you for sticking along, because it's a long video, but it's all relevant stuff. I would advise them to change it in a certain way, that if they wanted to make content more difficult, and they keep doing it, like this is not a point where people go, do you know what, I've done it, yeah, I've done it. Things are hard within the game. Things are not easy, But again, 1%, 99%. Don't judge the 1% against the 99% and the 99% against the 1%. If you're the 1% that find the game incredibly easy, then find a harder game. If the game is meant harder by the 1%, then you will find that the game will then be shut down, because not many people will play the game. You see how this works? There we go. I don't want to really be rude to people that are amazing at the game, but you need the shit players as well as the top players. That's what you need within the game. I would say Safeguard was good with Road to Labyrinth. Maybe they could have included that further in the content they made in order to make it harder. I really hope that by Monday we have a significant change, which is again back to the way it was. But I don't know. I can't comment. Like I said in the start of the video, I tried to approach Marvel Contest of Champions for an answer, and instead of got in, generic bullshit. And I really thought that we were on a kind of a good friendly path with this, but obviously I don't have the correct clout to be as friendly and also have an input with the games developers as maybe other people might have. I really hope that things change. I will continue to do Marvel Contest of Champions content. I've got to write my ideas for what I'm going to be recording this weekend. I'm probably going to do some crystal openings and things. I've got loads to open. I've still got to reboot my roster. I have been taking a little bit of a step back from the game. I probably will start playing again on Saturday morning and then see where we go with it. I will be creating a contingency plan of what other games I'll be playing in the future. And then obviously I'll be sending for you. I will still be trying to give this game as much support as possible, but it really does depend on how things go with the changes on Monday. If things haven't improved or changed, or I find the game a little bit kind of annoying or frustrating, because I don't find it repetitive. I really do enjoy it. I don't know why I enjoy it, because people would say it was too repetitive, but I do enjoy it. Anyway, to finalize, again, do not judge the 1%, kabam, when you're developing things. Don't judge the 1% on the 99%. That's not a community. What a community is us all working together. Opinion polls, get people testing at different levels, and put a better awareness out there. I'm still yet to work with you. I would like to work with you in the future, but if you don't listen to people, you don't make changes, and you change the game dramatically like this, then I don't think that we can work together in future. And I will be trying to look for other games where developers are a little bit better when it comes to working with the community at large. So anyway, positive moving forward. Let's hope that the changes are made. Well done everyone and the community for your hashtag boycott MCOC movement. It's gained some amazing traction, so well done to the community. I raise my glass to you all. I say cheers, and hats off to you. Shout out to Arbitrarian, to Riley. I enjoy a glass of red wine now and again. So cheers to you all, and well, let's hope we make some changes. If not, you know what's going to happen. But thanks very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel if you want some Marvel Contest of Champions content. I know I'm smiling and laughing because we don't know what's going to happen, whether or not this will be the end or not. But hey, Logan's a good film, so you should go and see it. Thanks again, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.